The final Inquisition will begin when the fourth beast turns on the woman. This will be the start of Jacob's trouble. The dragon will be enraged with the woman's true Israel seed, which is the Lamb's bride, and wage war against these beloved of the Most High. The bride will not break the 10 Commandments, that is, our marriage vows, nor deny our bridegroom, the Messiah, Yahushua. The gruesome dragon will gather his army, which will include all those whose name are not written in the Lamb's book. Satan will launch a global attack against all believers. That is why Yahushua told us we would be hated by all nations for his name's sake. We are told the following, and out of his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river after the woman, to cause her to be swept away by the river. Revelation 12:15. This flood will be a huge army. An army easily stirred up. Years' worth of brainwashing will have finally paid off. That is why video games depicting mass religious murdering are so dangerous. Just as the early believers were sought after from city to city, so shall the bride. She will be hunted down. I am reminded of what Henry Charles Lee said, History of the Inquisition in Spain said, the story is terrible enough without reducing it to figures. Its awful significance lies in the fact that men were found who consciously did this, in the name of the gospel of peace, and of him, Jesus, who came to teach the brotherhood of man. Truly, it must have been a horror seeing the Inquisitors entering a village. About 30 men all dressed with white robes, marching on foot to the rhythm of a drum. Their faces hid under the black hoods as they carried the huge cross. What an eerie feeling these men brought. The fate of the heretics lay in their hands. Millions were burned on stakes, tortured, thrown in dungeons and beheaded. The dead were not even spared during the Inquisition. The deceased were even condemned, and then carried in the auto-de-fay, to be burned. This is how sick, wicked and evil these people were. They were so bloodthirsty that these inspectors would actually climb up onto the highest rooftop, scoping out homes. What were they looking for? Smoke. The homes that had no fire coming from their rooftops on the Sabbath were flat out busted. These believers that would not kindle a fire on the Sabbath had now become evildoers worthy of death. Off the inspectors went, bursting into these believers' homes. This terror that unleashed during the Inquisition even reached a point that a person could sin just by thinking anything against the church. This is what you call conscience sin. Speaking of that, were you aware that the U.S. House of Representatives passed a thought crime prevention bill?
President Obama today proposed something new, something called prolonged detention. Doesn't sound that bad, right? Prolonged detention? Did you ever see the movie Minority Report? It was based on a Philip K. Dick short story. It came out in 2002. It starred Tom Cruise, remember? He played a police officer in something called the Department of Pre-Crime. Pre-crime is where people are arrested and incarcerated to prevent crimes that they have not yet committed.
Mr. Marks, by mandate of the District of Columbia Pre-Crime Division, I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks and Donald Dubin that was take place today, April 22nd, at 0800 hours and 4 minutes. I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything, but you're gonna. Future murder. Creepy, right? Putting somebody in jail not for what they've done, but for what you're very sure they're going to do?
There may be a number of people who cannot be prosecuted for past crimes. In some cases because evidence may be tainted, but who nonetheless pose a threat to the security of the United States.
We're not prosecuting them for past crimes, but we need to keep them in prison because of our expectation of their future crimes.
Al-Qaeda terrorists and their affiliates are at war with the United States, and those that we capture, like other prisoners of war, must be prevented from attacking us again.
Prevented. We will incarcerate people preventively. Preventive incarceration. One civil liberties advocate told the New York Times today, quote, "We've known this was on the horizon for many years, but we were able to hold it off with George Bush. The idea that we might find ourselves fighting with the Obama administration over these powers is really stunning. And it is stunning.
Beloved ones, they are setting up these dominoes, these laws, and soon, when all is in place, they will be enforced. It is not a matter of if, but of when. The Inquisitors truly believed that their job was to get the heretic to repent. And by doing so, the heretic would be saved. To the Inquisitors, any method used would justify the means. These methods included torture, gagging, hoisting, cutting off limbs, and something like waterboarding known as petro. This is outrageous. These were extreme zealots. When one was found to be a heretic, they were assumed to be guilty, having no proof of their innocence. They eagerly stood by, watching the poor victims suffer while anxiously waiting for the confession. Spain wanted a united Christian nation. They would stop at nothing to achieve that goal. The final Inquisition will be the same. As evil as the Holy Office of the Inquisition were, they will look like a bunch of Boy Scouts compared to the up-and-coming army of Satan. This army will be assembled worldwide. The final Inquisition will be a reign of terror like never before. This new holy office will try to get believers to denounce faith in Yahushua and reject the marriage vows, known as the 10 Commandments. This, beloved ones, is the great apostasy or falling away. You see, Yahuwah never uses force because he truly loves each person. However, this is contrary to the impostor. He will use force and death decrees just like times of old. The Messiah has warned us that the Great Distress, also known as Jacob's Trouble, the Great Distress, and the Tribulation will be the bloodiest time in all history as outlined in Matthew, chapter 24. This will be far worse than the time of Nero, all the Crusades, the Inquisition, the Anabaptists, the death camps in Europe, and the fiery furnaces at Auschwitz put together. The final Inquisition will be so horrific that the duration period will be shortened. We are talking cataclysmic eruption of pure evil on a global scale. The myriads of the heavenly messengers can do nothing at this moment but patiently wait. They wait for the seventh seal to be opened, the seventh trumpet to sound, and the seventh bowl to be tipped. Instantaneously, Yahushua will get on his white horse accompanied with all those myriads of heavenly messengers. The rock will descend to earth. Yahushua, along with his majestic army, will totally annihilate Satan's phony millennium. He will crush the whole system like a piece of pottery in the hands of a potter.